Hello everyone, welcome back. Seems I'm on a bit of a roll because this will be my officially second live YouTube video, and in the past I've filmed loads of YouTube videos. I'm not gonna lie, I've done so many that haven't made it to YouTube, and I have a secret channel somewhere with some dive videos on it, which maybe I'll share at some point in the future. But today I wanted to talk about redundancy. And I know from my own life, but also from the people that I've coached, how scary and impactful on our lives redundancy can be. So the heater's just gone off because the sun's come out. So the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I know how being made redundant can give you that sense that you're just not worthy. And look, I mean, in all honesty, you can say redundancy, you can call it being fired, let go, sacked, like whatever terminology you want to call it. It's not very nice. Like, it's not nice whether you call it redundancy, being fired, or being sacked. Like, ultimately you've lost your job, and that is quite a stressful situation for anyone to go through. And I've been in that situation probably more times than I care to remember. So coming up to mid-30s, and I've probably been in a position where I've lost 3 jobs. And I want to talk about this as if it's like normal, because it is normal. Like, it happens all the time. You know, in the news at the moment, there's stories about Amazon, Google, Netflix, Facebook having to get rid of thousands of staff because they simply boomed during COVID, and now people have realised they can go outside again. They don't want to sit online and constantly watch Netflix. I mean, obviously there's a place for Netflix, and there's some amazing documentaries and series and things on there, but, you know, quite frankly, people don't have the money right now, and so the first things to go are subscriptions, and it's very expensive to film documentaries and films and series. So you can totally understand why Netflix or any of these huge massive media houses or platforms have had to get rid of staff. And look, it's not just these industries at the moment. You know, sometimes you're just not fit for the role. That's the honest truth. Like, sometimes we just have to accept that wasn't our calling. Now, for me, when I'd lost jobs in the past, I hadn't really cared that much. And I know that sounds a little bit savage, but either way, either I was going to leave those jobs or they were going to get rid of me. Like, either way, that was going to be the outcome, because I knew that maybe at that time it wasn't something that I loved to do. Whereas in this most recent transition that I had, it wasn't something I ever expected. It wasn't something that I ever planned for. Like, I genuinely love the company and love what I do. And even though they felt, for whatever reason, and I'm going to come on to this in a little bit, but for whatever reason, like, it just wasn't my time at that company. And I think what I want to come on to is seeing the silver lining and recognizing that, I guess, it's important to turn around those negative experiences into opportunities. Like, see that as a crossroads in your life to pursue something else which is more in line with who you are, what you bring to the table. Like, there will be someone or some company out there who truly values you and what you bring to the table. Because like any type of rejection, whether it's friendships, relationships, if life hasn't taught me anything, it's that you know, when things are short-lived, or even if you've been I heard a story the other day, like someone told me that someone was at a company for like 20 years and they were really senior and they'd got some bad feedback from a client and they were let go from that role. Like 20 years in a position is a very long time. So, you know, it's not that, you know, you've been in a job for 3 months and it's different to being there for 20 years. Like ultimately the impact that it has on our self-esteem and our confidence is the same. Like it just can have this impact where we think to ourselves, I'm just not good enough. And it shows up, not everyone has this, but it can show up in our lives as that sort of thinking of, I'm not good enough in what I do. And if we're not careful, if we don't catch those thoughts before they become our self-perceived reality, they become part of who we are. We manifest them, and it's like a confirmation bias. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like if I say I'm not good at my job, then I probably won't be good at my job, if that makes any sense. It's like you're speaking what you're manifesting. And so what I really want to share in this video is that ultimately, as hard as this is going to sound, it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks of you. Like, yes, there is stresses, short-term stresses, which come with your finances, your income, you know, your responsibilities as maybe as a parent or an independent adult, like whatever that looks like. And part of what I do in my business world is talking about having an emergency fund. And as much as in this specific scenario for me and the transformation that I'm going through right now was I had this anxiety, this really heavy anxiety of like, and I want to swear, but I'm not sure if this is a swearing channel, but I sort of had this feeling of like, damn, what am I going to do now? How am I going to pay my bills? It's just me. Like, I don't have a dependent. I don't have a spouse. I don't have someone I can rely on, you know? It's me, myself, and I. And whilst that's really liberating to have financial independence for myself, how am I going to navigate through this? And sometimes we get ourselves in that position of just so much stress, and it causes this anxiety, and we can't sleep, and we start ruminating over it and thinking about it, and things just get worse, and we don't end up taking action, and we don't move anywhere. So if you are having those thoughts right now, this is your reminder to just stop, breathe, take a step back. If you feel something isn't sitting right, listen to your gut. Listen to your intuition. If you're in a job, and even if they're offering you mental health support, right? A lot of companies do. There's a lot of mental health washing out there. As helpful as that can be, trust your inner self, trust your inner guide. Like, know that, you know, if your manager or your colleagues have like changed, you know, if you sense there's like a change in the air, right? Like something's going on, you're probably right. And I guess what I really want to say is that don't let other people who tell you that specific role isn't right for you, or maybe the company has a change in direction, or whatever reason you're given, don't let the questions that you have unanswered to overtake your life. Because if there's something that I've learned is that you can get stuck in this pattern, right? You can start going, why me? Why did this happen to me? Why didn't they pick the other guy in my team who sucked at his job? Like, why now? Why is this happening again? What's the reason for it? Am I no good at my job? Do they have no money? Should I have done this? Could I have done that better? What if I wouldn't have said this? What if I wouldn't have said that? And literally, we can drive ourselves to insanity. And I know not everyone has this. Like, some people find it very easy just to pick themselves up and just go, do you know what? I'm just going to apply for a new job just because they have to. But they don't actually, you know, look inside and take a moment to check in and go, well, actually, what direction do I want to do now? Like, maybe because they don't know, or they don't know why. It's just the fact of getting income. And income is helpful, but it doesn't well, it can in some ways give us some form of happiness and fulfillment, but sometimes when we're paid for something, we don't enjoy it as much. So thinking about it, you know, you can't, or it's not always necessarily helpful to jump into something just because it's going to provide you with an income or a salary, basically. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because I spoke to someone recently who had been made redundant in their life. And this wasn't recently, but years later, this cloud was like following them around. And they were like, I'm just not good enough. And I can't charge for my services. Probably because at some point they were being made feel guilty for doing what they were doing. And that's okay. That's okay. Like, you've got to sit with those feelings and those emotions. And when I lost my job, I don't want to say I was redundant because someone will be like, you weren't made redundant. In the UK, actually, this is a very good point. In the UK, there are different employment laws. So if you've been working at a company for 2 years, they actually have to prove and state why they're getting rid of you. If it's 1 year and 11 months, they don't even have to give you a reason. So depending how long you've been in a company, you might have varying degrees of an understanding of why that's happened to you. But I guess you never really know, because ultimately it comes down to, and I don't want to say this, but it does, it comes down to favourites. It comes down to who you like. Like, you know, I want to beat around the bush, but for me, you know, yes, performance is important, but you can have the highest performing person in a team who still gets fired, and it's either because they weren't that well liked or because of salary, because of money, because of business struggles, and that ultimately is on the business. You know, that's got nothing to do with you. Like, you know, if a business is struggling financially, like any of the ones I mentioned before, you know, in the media industry, like it's got nothing to do with you. If revenue streams simply just aren't there, like a company will have to make cutbacks at some point. And that could be to do with your function. It could be to do with, you know, you and your personality. But you're never going to know those answers. So just stop trying to find answers to those now. And I struggled with that for a while. Not so much this time. I think in the past I just wasn't that dedicated and committed. So I just thought to myself, well, that kind of makes sense. I can't really feel bad. And this time I was like, wow. This is the opportunity. Like, I've been wanting to do this to build my own financial coaching business and my own transformative coaching business for like 5 years, and I have been doing it behind the scenes, but I haven't really felt like I could fully because I had a non-compete. So sometimes like the most beautiful situations can come from like the hardest, toughest times, and it's important to remember that. You know, I've been speaking to friends, and it's really important to find your support network during these times. Like, if you're looking at setting up a business, I would highly recommend finding a community or a tribe of people that you can confide in, discuss ideas with, share ideas with, learn from, grow your network, grow your community, grow your skill set. You know, take a course in something, use it as an opportunity to level up in whatever it is that you're doing. The time before last time I got made redundant was about in 2016, something like that. And I've spoken about this before, but I had burnout from a job. I was flying all over the Middle East, like every couple of days. And I was told that it wasn't stressful, but my body definitely felt like it was. Like, my hair was falling out. I was so stressed, like just trying to impress my manager, quite frankly. Like, and if they're watching this now, they'll probably laugh and be like, well, you didn't impress me at all. But whatever, like, that's what I was trying to do. You know, we're all facing the grind. Like, we all want to achieve and have success in life. So that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to please someone else, not necessarily please myself. But anyway, what ended up happening was I ended up fainting on the airplane, which was quite random. So I was flying to Egypt on Emirates actually, and I just fainted. I went to the toilet because I wasn't feeling that well. It was middle of the night, and they reduced the oxygen on the aeroplanes at night just to help people sleep. And what had happened was I'd got up and I just passed out in the middle of the aisle, in the middle of the galleyway. I'd passed out, and they kind of managed to like sort of drag me to the corner when the door was. And this woman, oh bless her, she was amazing. She was like trying to calm me down, and they called for a doctor on the aeroplane. And I remember we had the same watch at the time. We had the same watch, and the conversation she was having with me was, "Oh, we have the same watch. Isn't that a coincidence? How funny is that?" But she actually did calm me down, and she was a lovely, lovely lady. And I think they got me some oxygen, from what I remember. And I basically just lied in the middle of the kitchen, in the middle of the aeroplane, with my gas, with my oxygen, trying to get myself together. And they gave me a Galaxy chocolate bar and 2 litre bottle of water to try and recover me. So that was quite an experience. I've never really spoken about it in that much depth before, but when you talk about fainting on an aeroplane, you don't really. At the time I was like, oh, they lowered the oxygen on the aeroplane, so I just fainted. But in reality, it was quite a traumatic experience, because I got off the plane, landed in Cairo, and I was on my own, and I was kind of like, what do I do now? Like, I've just got to carry on. Like, you just got to keep going, you know? But yeah, that was an experience. And I think after, I left that job, I had a moment. I'd been in Dubai for 4 years. I'd seen some amazing things. I'd built some amazing connections. And I decided I'm going to go on a 3-week holiday. I'm going to just go on a 3-week holiday and find myself again. And I ended up going to Indonesia. And that ended up being 3 years around Southeast Asia. So arguably the best thing that ever happened to me, because it led me onto a path of doing what I'm doing now. So I guess my takeaway from this is, if you are experiencing a little bit of self-doubt, self-sabotage, if you think that you are not good enough or designed to do what you are doing right now, change it. Like, take it in your own hands. Now is the time to be leveling up your skills, to find something that really, really fulfills you, that is aligned with you as a person and your values, and gives you the sort of work-life balance that you really want. Forget what people are saying about the industry. If people are saying it's hard, there are no jobs out there, like, there's always opportunity. You just have to look for it. You have to switch your mindset and really believe that the right opportunity is out there for you. Now, I'm just doing a little video on YouTube, but sometimes it takes a lot of work. It can take 2 weeks, it can take 2 years. Everyone's timeline looks different. It completely depends on you and what you've been through. And, if you are going through something like that, coaching can help you. 100% coaching can help you. It can realign you, reassess your values, help you figure out what it is that you want to do. And if coaching's not right for you, speak to a recruiter. Look on LinkedIn for jobs, look on your local jobs board, go on Facebook, find some communities, find friends, or ask friends that you found if they know of anything. Sometimes the best things do come from word of mouth, and those things are probably not going to be from your closest network. They're probably going to be from the people that are wider, probably more, have more distance from you within your network. So if you have a circle of friends, it's likely to be the people that are on the outskirts. So don't be afraid to put your message out there. There is a lot of shame, and people don't want to openly go to LinkedIn and say, hi, I've been made redundant, or hi, I've lost my job, can you help me find one? But there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. People like vulnerability, people like transparency and authenticity. So if you show up as you are, the right thing, I believe, will always come to you. And for me in my life, it has always paid off, so just keep going. Everything will work out in the end, because it always does. Have a great day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.